Okay, hi. This is an experiment for me, but welcome. I'm Stacey Harmon. I am an Evernote certified expert, and I am here on YouTube going live with an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. If you have questions and are joining me, you're welcome to post them in the chat. I am just trying this out. Quite frankly, what I want to do is learn how YouTube lives work. And I thought, what better way than to just come here and give you guys some Evernote education and see if there was any interest in chatting about Evernote. So I'm kind of learning my way through it, but I can see that a couple people are here. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I will be happy to hang out for up to 30 minutes. And if there's nothing coming in, I'll reevaluate what I'm going to do. It does look like I can share my screen, so I can take you into Evernote and show you kind of what's going on. But that is kind of the idea here. It looks like a couple of people are popping in. I also don't know if there's really a delay, so I appreciate you all keeping me informed on what's going on. I assume my microphone is working and all of those fun details. Let me look at this. Looks like it. So we should be good. But hopefully you all have the ability to chat and can let me know what your questions are. I do this inside my community all the time. So I run a membership academy where I teach Evernote users how to up-level their Evernote skills. And this is one of those things that we do is a live Q&A as well as monthly office hours where people engage with me, get my feedback on their Evernote questions and help them move forward in using Evernote. So really the point here is just an open forum for you all to do the same. Obviously, there's no opportunity for you to go on camera and ask me a question, but the chat is open and I am happy to review it. So let's see, live chat, all messages are visible. Looks like that is the option. Let's see. I'm going to start with a Q&A. Oh, I can ask questions and everything. So let's just say, are you? Hi, Stephen. My first time using YouTube live chat. I see. Yes. So me too. Welcome. Welcome. Obviously, I've posted on YouTube a lot before. It's been several years. It's a pretty intensive medium in terms of creating content, and what we do inside the academy is pretty time consuming. But so that's where the bulk of my efforts go, but wanted to play here and see what it was. But let me know what questions you got. I mean, honestly, floor is yours. I'm happy to, let's see. I'm going to start with a couple of basic questions. I see it looks like there's 4 or 5 of you here currently. So let me just play with this a little bit. What tier of Evernote do you subscribe to? Okay, so there is a question. So on your subscription tier, I guess part of what I need to understand is what type of Evernote user are you? Are you a free user? Do you have a personal, professional, or business plan with Evernote? Business plan's a little confusing. You might have what you call Teams, but they've recently retired the Teams account. So it's been replaced with Enterprise. And if you haven't seen that transition yet, you're likely going to see it about a month before you renew your Teams account. But that would be helpful to understand what people are on, or tell me how long you've been using Evernote or how many notes you have. All of those things can help influence what I share here. And we'll go from there. Welcome to live chat. Okay, so live chat's open. There's a question open. And we'll kind of see how this goes. I'm thinking about doing some more videos, and maybe future videos I'll prep some a topic and some training, but I just needed to know how to actually use this tool. And I see people hanging out, but you don't have any questions? Not a single question about Evernote? You can let me know. I've been doing this. I've been an Evernote user since 2009, so a long time. And I've been teaching Evernote for over 10 years, almost 15. And I use it every day myself. So there's that. Okay, Stephen, Pro Plan. Okay, so you're paying for professional for 10 years or more. When I'm organizing my notes, I delete notes, and I don't like that those notes Continue to appear in search. So that's interesting. I do not think that have you had that recently? So let's see. Like within the last 3 months, Evernote has completely revamped search. And I guess my question is that since they've revamped search? Was that before they revamped search? Or was it both? Do you know? So that would be my follow-up question, but we can test this out. So let me go into my demo account. There'll probably be some overlap here. Hold on just a second. I'm going to share my whole screen, and that's going to create a mirror. Okay, there you go. All right. So let's call this, let's look at our trash. Okay. I'm going to have this note in trash. I'm going to move it to the trash. I'm going to prove it's in trash. They deleted. Okay, note in trash. So now let's go to notes. And this is representative of all the notes in our account that are in theory not in trash. And let's do an in title search for note in trash. And it found 0. So I don't think it's searching the notes in the trash, but I am happy to be proven wrong. So let's call this in title should have trash. Let's simplify it. And it's found 0 notes. So I guess if you're experiencing that, it's not the expected behavior, but I can't replicate it. And my understanding is it should not default to the to notes that are in the trash. So if you trash it, it's not auto deleting it. It is putting it into the trash can, and then it's kind of a double delete for those of you who are wondering. But let's just confirm. I'll show you this too. So more trash, note in trash. Let's move it into my inbox. Here, let's restore note. Okay, so it's here. So now let's do a search. Move my cursor off of it. Trash. And it did find it, but interestingly, it's so interesting. Look at that search. Like how it works. Like trash was in the title. So let's look at this updated. Okay, so if I sort by date updated, it does promote it as the very first one. I could also see it in search results here. I mean, it's proving recent, right? So this is the new search experience. And that is prioritizing recency as well as obviously the note title. And it's showing me that it's in the inbox. So I can't replicate that. And my understanding is that trash is not searched. And you can see here, it found it when I moved it into the notes, and it did not find it when it was in the trash. So hopefully there it is. And I see you're saying, well, that's good. I'll keep trying. Okay, good. Yeah. So a big part of Evernote fluency, like I'm always trying to teach users how to just become more fluent in observing how it works. And this is one of those things where the details can really matter, and paying attention to when it fails. Where is that note actually living, right? Like it's possible there's some other issues, but where is that note living? Having tools like taking a screenshot. So if you use the desktop app, which is something that I highly advise, you have access to the Evernote helper, which unfortunately is showing on my other screen. I don't know how to bring it over into this screen, but I can take a screenshot right from there. So I'm on a Mac, but I just activated the helper and I can take a screenshot here. This is an Evernote tool. I don't rarely use it. So there, I just allowed it. And hopefully let's try that again. And I know y'all can't see what I'm doing, but when you install the app, okay, there you go. So it just took it. So yeah. All right. So here it's taking these screen captures. You can actually take screen captures and you can include that in your tech support ticket to Evernote if it's working against the behavior that is designed or is expected to be. So that can be very helpful in getting clarity, or even getting help in free forums. I know Reddit's got a group. I ask my customers inside of our community to post screenshots a lot, and that really helps bring a visual that people can help to troubleshoot and solve what's going on. And then, hi Hans, welcome. Glad you guys are here. If you have any questions, let me know. We're 10 minutes into my experiment here, just kind of playing with this. And I'm glad I can show my screen because I think that brings a lot of elements to the table, but just curious to hear about, what your Evernote usage is, what would help you move forward with how you use Evernote. I certainly can talk about that a lot. As I was telling the few of you who were here early, I officially do not work for Evernote. I have a tight relationship with them. I'm an Evernote certified expert, and I've been probably with them longer than any other certified expert or officially credentialed associate of theirs. But I'm not on payroll. I don't work for them. I have my own company, and I show Evernote users how to get more out of their subscription. Basically, my typical customers, a paying Evernote user, and I help them make the cost of their membership and subscription far exceeded by the value that they get out of Evernote. All right, here's a question. I've been using Evernote since 2008. Yes, a lot has changed. A lot has changed in the setup. If I would start fresh today with project management, what would be your advice from the setup? Should I use Spaces? Okay, I love this question. Excellent question. All right, and actually, it gives me. There's a just last week, literally just on Monday, Monday, it might have been a week ago, I emailed out, if you're not subscribed to my free newsletter, I emailed out my approach to project management, the construct that I have. And it talks about kind of what to do. So let me pull in a browser and I'll show you, and I'll use this as a, okay. So this is what I emailed out to people. My three-step framework for managing any project in Evernote. Okay, I'm going to come to the spoiler here. Skip Spaces for now. Okay, so really how I view this is Spaces are an advanced project management construct. There's one other way I would look about this. Like Spaces are good for advanced projects that have a lot of interdependencies or phases or dependencies. Okay. And I talk about exactly the spaces that I use. Like you can see, I actually talk about my 3-step framework to project management. And I'll just put the link to this here. I assume that mine will come up there. Okay. So you can see that. And then at the bottom here, if you want to be getting these tips for free, you can just sign up for my email and you'll get these ideas as they come. And what we're doing here is going to influence for future topics as well. But that's one. The other thing is, I think it was, let's look. Yeah. Then I gave you 12 Spaces use cases for my account. Like this is a literal screenshot for my account. And I tell you what Spaces I'm using. So there's a bunch of ideas there. All right. So start with that. But to your question, for the setup, I would start with a notebook-based approach to project management. And I talk about that here. Okay. I actually think you should start with a single note. So what I think people do is they overbuild out a structure at the beginning before they've collected and realized exactly the full nature of the project. I do conceptually have a notebooks-based versus a tags-based approach to project management and organizing in Evernote based on a lot of reasons. I talk about it in my newsletter. I talk about it extensively inside the Academy. But let's just assume that, okay? And I do talk about that here, notebooks versus tags. It should be notebooks for most people. If you already have a big tag system, I'm not telling you to undo it. If it works for you, please do it. Tags have a role, but I start there and I start with a single note for setting up on project management. And then as you start to collect data, you start to create more notes. And when you reach a threshold, and that threshold is intuitive, it could be 2 notes, it could be 10 notes. It really is up to you and how you are organizing the project. I think you can start by creating a new notebook and moving those notes into that notebook to organize that project. Now, you can have sub-projects in there. Inside the Academy, I show real case studies about how I organize single project notebooks from my own account, as well as we talk about what other members are doing. And I take people right inside my account and show exactly how I'm organizing. I've done 2. I did one on, I had a hit and run. My car was a hit and run victim. I parked my car. When I came out, I had $7,000 worth of bodywork damage on it. So I talked about how I managed that project and the process of getting that repaired and the insurance claim and all of that, which has multiple sub projects in it, right? You have the project of dealing with insurance and filing a police report. You have the project of actually getting it repaired and working with the repair shop, and et cetera. And I show how I do that all in a single notebook. And then at some point, you have a list of projects that are pretty complex with a lot of interdependencies. And I think you should graduate those up into spaces. And so certainly that's something that I talk about a lot in the newsletter, as well as within the Academy. But at a high level, that is what I would suggest. Okay. So to answer your question, if I would start fresh today with project management, what would be my advice for the setup? Single notebook for projects in development. Each project gets a single note. I would use a naming convention on that. Call it, like here, project management. This is a LinkedIn challenge. I just did 30 days of content on LinkedIn, and I showed inside the Academy how I organized it. You can see I've got naming conventions here. This got promoted to its own notebook, and I kept everything in the notebook, and I used naming conventions to organize it. So that's my point of view. Hope that helps or gives you some ideas. If you want a follow-up question, let me know. Okay, screenshot. Looks good. I never saw that. Where is that? Yeah, let me change screens. It's I have 2 monitors here, so let me reorganize this. And I will show you. So this is it's called the Evernote helper. Okay. See, this is called the desktop app. So I'm making an assumption that you know the difference between the desktop app, the web, and the web client. So the desktop app's assuming you have the full application down here. You can see my little, in fact, let me try this. Might help people. Okay, down here. You see my cursor. I'm assuming you install this locally on your computer. It automatically installs the Evernote helper, which is an operating system extension. And now the function here, I have to give you a little caution. The function between Windows and iOS is slightly different. Options on iOS, I have 3, but you should have one this, and it takes a full screenshot. And then here, I'm going to move this over here so you can see it. You can see here, it took both of my monitors in this case, but you can see a screenshot. And there's some granularity to it, depending on which operating system you're on. That was the full screen capture. So if you hover over, there's a key command for it too. If you've got capture window, let's see if it does that here. You can say, okay, capture this one. Let's see what it did. It just captured my little cursor. So it seems to have some fickleness. But it's here, and it's a good way to take a, let's see, what did it do? Yeah, it's just capturing my cursor. I'll have to ask them about that. I don't know. In my case, with on Apple, I went here, and if I want to just take a screenshot here, you can see that it did a pretty good job of rendering that right here. So that's how it works. Again, Evernote helper. It's automatically installed if you're using the desktop app. It's one of the advantages to using the desktop app. And actually, that's one of the things I was going to suggest, that if there were no questions, which I'm happy to see that there are a couple, one of the things that, and I'll put the link to this, is you can grab my free quick start guide. And the very first tip that I have in this is to use the desktop for maximum efficiency. I find a lot of long-term Evernote users certainly know this, but understanding Like your path to Evernote fluency is understanding the difference between the different clients and what they're best used for, and kind of like a Swiss Army knife, pulling out the right one at the right time for the right end goal. And when you're sitting at your computer, typically using the desktop client is going to give you access to the entire suite of Evernote functionality, and it's going to get, including the Evernote helper, things, little tools like that, which can be accessed from anywhere on your operating system, right? So if you have an idea that you want to capture to Evernote, which is another best practice to centralize all of your information into Evernote as frictionlessly as possible. Like our goal in being productive, no matter what your suite of tools are, is to minimize the scatteredness of it all, right? So this Evernote helper lets you quickly jot down ideas. It's like, okay, oh shoot, I need to remember to take Fluffy to the vet, call for appointment. Okay, I can do that while I'm working in Google Docs, coordinating with a team member who initiated a document over there. I can just convert that to a note. And now it's been saved into Evernote, even though I am potentially not in Evernote. So like I could be in, let's pull a browser up over here. So I could be working over here in like LinkedIn, right? Something like this. You could be over here and you have an idea. I could launch the Evernote quick switcher from here, and I could be like linked in homework, connect with Jane, whatever you want to say, or congratulate, send, reach out, whatever your ideas are. You log them, convert this to a note. I never left LinkedIn, that kind of a thing. Okay. So really powerful, and you can't use that tool unless you're using the desktop app, which automatically installs this extension in your browser. So hopefully that gave you some new ideas. There you go. All right. So that was one of my things I was thinking I would cover here is you can always grab this at my website. I'll actually paste the URL so you can download that if you want. Let me grab the URL. If you want the quick start guide, it's there. In the Windows app, right-click on the Evernote extension has the option to click full page, bookmark, or screenshot. Yeah, so it's slightly different. You have more granular screenshot options on iOS. Evernote is limited in what they can develop based on the operating system integration. And so apparently my best guess, based on doing this a long time, is that in a closed ecosystem like Apple, they have more control and they can ensure that the experience is the same across all Apple operating systems. In Windows, we see this a lot. We see it with the Android as well compared to iOS in the mobile app. Like the share functionality is vastly different depending on what Android machine or Android phone you have, and that's because it's a more open ecosystem where people can make a lot of different changes, and it's just more complex than I understand, but you can appreciate from a developer standpoint how that would be more difficult to control the user experience. And Evernote's trying to make it as parallel as possible amongst all different operating systems, but they are limited by what the foundation, what the operating system they're working on is. So that's probably explains it, but there is generally that functionality, and you can at least grab a screenshot and centralize it, which can be very, very helpful in bringing visual information to the table when you're trying to communicate with others or with Evernote. Especially it's a good tech support tip is to show them kind of what it is you're experiencing, or if you're not in a paid community like mine, and you're looking for help out on the web, those kinds of things. Obviously, visual communication, I'm a big proponent of it. You can see I'm doing it here. Can clarify things really quick. So there you go. All right. It looks like a couple more people have joined, which I love seeing. If you have any questions, I've got a couple more minutes where I'm happy to kind of go through those with you, but there's a couple of URLs and appreciate you being here. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for joining me. If you're still here and have any questions, please let me know. This is an experiment. I want to get a little more fluent with YouTube. I haven't done YouTube in a long time and it's evolved a lot. You see, they have the ability for me to kind of go live right now. And I love to train and I love to help users get most out of their Evernote subscription. And we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up in the end of the year here from Evernote. Like I said, I don't work for Evernote, but I do get a little bit of a sneak peek as a result of my status as an Evernote certified expert. One of the things I'm considering doing, and this format may be helpful in doing that. It looks like you can do a presentation, so that's really helpful. But you may notice that Evernote here occasionally does a monthly recap of what they have released. That's something we cover in detail. I cover all the features inside the Academy and help members to keep up with what's new. And we, do live demos and show those as they're released. But my idea was they kind of do a quick blast on a monthly basis. And I think I might do kind of a deep dive and actually illustrate the concepts that they talk about in Federico's videos and kind of show you all those. I thought that might be kind of fun and give people a little more experience and practical use with Evernote and with what's new, because I think we're all interested in what's new. And there's going to be a lot of new coming up. It's going to be a very busy end of year. And I'm excited. I think as an Evernote user, you should be very excited. And I think there'll be no shortage of things to talk about. So with that, there we go. All right. What other questions you got? I see some thumbs up. I've got time for one or two more if you have them. And I can keep going with my little element here. Let's make it bigger, show you what's kind of going on. All right, we talked about the desktop app and why that matters and had a great illustration of why there. And I talk about in the guide too, which of the clients you should use for what. One of the things that's really evolved is the mobile client has gotten a lot stronger, and notably, and I talked about this in my newsletter. So again, another reason to subscribe to the newsletter, which is totally free. I send it out on Mondays. They have allowed what they call bulk actions. So we didn't used to have bulk actions on mobile, and we now do. And this is a very strong asset for power users, because what bulk actions let you do is select multiple notes at once and do something with them. So on desktop, I can click the bottom here. I can click the top here, and you can see that all 10 notes are selected, and I can like drag and drop those 10 notes at one time. That's a bulk action, right? So if I want to move notes, that's one thing you can do in mass very quickly as a result of bulk actions. And that used to be reserved just for the desktop and web experience. Now we have it on mobile though. So you can actually bulk move multiple notes. Another thing you can do is export multiple notes at once. So I could export all 10 notes kind of a thing. And then on desktop, and this is different than this is different than mobile. You can actually, it's not showing here. Let me pull it up. My little, this little menu down here, there's something called merge. So you can merge all your notes together too, right? I'm not going to do this, but it's an option. We do not have that option on mobile yet. They know it. I think they'd probably ideally like to develop it, but certainly the functionality varies in regards to that. But we do have bulk actions on mobile now, which is very exciting. All right, another question has come in. We'll end with this one. Rob, hi. Okay, how do you find a search term or phrase inside a PDF? So in theory, you just search for it. So making the most of Evernote. Let's search for that. We know it's here. So I'll show you something here. Making, that's going to come up with a lot of terms, right? You can appreciate that making is going to come up with a lot of terms. From here, I can do several things. Like, this is a great question because this is about your fluency, and there's a lot of ways to get towards the end result that I'm looking for. So one thing you can try is you can filter your search by saying, okay, let's filter it for attachments. Should be able to filter for attachments. And now it's saying only show me notes that have the word making and have attachments. So that might be a good filter. It's really not in this case. I have a lot of notes. It's finding 153 notes. Not very good. Okay. The other thing is, let's clear this. You could, if you knew approximately the location or the date created. So in this case, we know that I just created this today. Let's see if that did it. So it should have indexed what's in there. Let me tell you that it does not appear that it did. I also only added this to Evernote, as you can see, 31 minutes ago, and OCR indexing sometimes takes a little time. Now I'm surprised that it didn't do that, but in theory, I should be able to just do a search for making the most of Evernote, end quote, and it should pull it. Okay. So this is an indexing issue. This is about the time that it's taken for me to get that document in there, and OCR indexing has not been applied to that PDF that I just added. So that's why it's not coming up. It will come up, however, though. I don't know. I am surprised it's taken 30 minutes for it to be indexed. So that's stating one thing. But stating two, notice I had this in here for a while. This is just, this is my demo account for Evernote. And I demoed at one point taking a scannable document and putting it in here. And you can see it retrieved this document because it's been OCR indexed and it is a PDF. Okay. So it found it. Now I'm surprised also that it didn't highlight the term that it typically does. So I'd say that's just a performance or minor bug that they will likely fix. But to answer your question shortly, there's term or phrase inside Evernote, and then putting quotes around it will bring it to an exact search. And then let's see what shows up here. Oh yeah, it found it here too in a snapshot. So this is, let's see, download. It's a PNG file. So it found there. So there you go. All right. So the idea is basically Evernote is indexing everything, and we'll find it even in a PDF. I got to tell you though, it's something you want to test as a Fluent user. It's something you want to test because the method you use to create the PDF can also influence if it's indexed or not. So what I mean by that, let's see. Some scanners will put in an OCR index layer and they add all these invisible characters behind the scenes that make it tough for your PDF to get indexed in Evernote. Super technical to troubleshoot, but what types of things we talk about inside the Academy all the time. And what you want to do is test if it's working before you go through a big project of like scanning everything, because you want to scan it in properly. And some of these little details can really matter. But in simple terms, it should index everything that you put in Evernote, including PDFs, and allow you to find it. Okay. If it's not working, there's definitely reasons why. Again, one of the things I help my customers to identify and make workflow plans around. All right. Thanks for joining me. I'd say this was a moderate success. I mean, we got some good questions answered. It is recorded, so it should post, and we'll see if I do it again. But I'd love to keep chatting with you here on YouTube. And in the meantime, don't forget to stay connected by my newsletter, which I share a lot of these tips on a weekly basis. And that quick start guide will give you something to take your skills up a level as well. All right. Thanks for being here. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.